the GOAT, quite simply, and also the managing editor of VSiN right here in Las Vegas, the great Brent Musburger. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Got a nice crew over there.
Yeah, I know.
Like
we give rousing rounds of applause.
Yeah,
It's so great to see you, Brent.
Rich, thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
I couldn't come to this town and not reach out and say, hey, we're here having a show.
Can you imagine that we're here in Las Vegas for a Super Bowl?
I cannot.
I mean,
can you?
No, because, 57 years ago,
yes,
Super Bowl LVIII, I was a newspaper man, okay?
Yeah.
And we were in Los Angeles, the Coliseum, and it was the same Chiefs, but they were playing the Green Bay Packers, and Vince Lombardi hid the Packers out at UC Santa Barbara. He went up the coast, and he made it clear to every writer, they were not welcome. They were not welcome, okay? Meanwhile, Hank Stram went to Long Beach, Riverside. Hey, he had a party every day. We couldn't wait to go see the coach. He entertained us and bought us beers afterwards. But I still have, believe it or not, 2 tickets from Commissioner Pete Rozelle that I could not give away, Rich, to Super Bowl LVIII. Think about that.
Wow.
The Belmont Hotel didn't want them. And now, what are they going for? $8,000, $9,000, $10,000?
Crazy.
I know, it's nuts.
It is nuts. And that we are here in Las Vegas, Nevada, too.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, it was verboten to even mention Las Vegas. I know, I got my wrist slapped all the time,
How did the wrist slap ever come from Rozelle himself? Did he
no,
ever
let me
reach
give you
out?
an anecdote about Rozelle, because you'll love this one.
Okay.
I knew that Pete understood gambling because I always ran into him at the Kentucky Derby and even at Aqueduct on a good Saturday. He might be out betting the ponies. So I knew, and wait a minute. So when Bob Wessler calls and says, Brent, do you know Jimmy the Greek? I said, yeah, of course. This was the second year of the NFL Today. He said, I want to put him on the NFL Today with you, Phyllis, and Irv. And I said, what does the commissioner think? He said, well, it's fine. We're going to have a meeting with him. So it was Wessler, the Greek, and Brent. We sat in the office. Couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been more pleasant. Welcoming Jimmy the Greek to the family and all of this. We get up to leave after about a 40-minute talk. And he says, listen, I'd like to ask you gentlemen one favor. When the commissioner's asking you for one favor, it's an order. He said, listen, I don't want you to use +3, -7, -10. Could you do that? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. On the way back, we said, what are we going to do? That's the heart of what we've got. So we came up with the old checkboard. The older folks who were watching the show remember the Greek checking it. If all the sides were checked on one side, you knew the Greek thinks they can cover.
Right. I remember seeing, wait a minute. So Jimmy the Greek thinks the Cowboys are going to win. Then why is the check mark next to the Giants?
Exactly.
Hold on a second. What is up with that?
Yeah, take those 6.5. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we could never mention. Oh goodness.
Oh,
those were the early days, and now.
Word.
And listen, I think the NFL did the right thing. Once it was legal, you better become involved in it because you don't want it to get away from you. Okay. For example. Offshore, we could always bet how many penalties will there be in this Super Bowl. There was always an over-under number. You can't do that anymore on the legalized side. That's because the NFL asked them not to. We don't want to bring undue criticism. There's enough of it already anyway on the officials. So we went from there. So I think the NFL. And did you see the slot machines? I'm laughing.
It's crazy.
They're all over town.
I know. I just can't believe it. By the way, I look at this photograph right here.
There's the
Greek.
Yeah, and
Jack Whitaker.
Jack Whitaker.
Jane Kennedy, and obviously Irv Cross. And you. My goodness. And how many Super Bowls did you do for CBS? Do you remember how many? What was the first?
8.
8, yeah. Wow.
And then because I did
this is their 21st?
I did the one
22nd?
for ABC.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Whichever, the first NFL Today anchoring of a Super Bowl I remember was in Miami. And it was the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can still see Lynn Swann on that far sideline from the booth. Actually, a couple funny things. I got to tell you about this.
Please.
So we're at the field, and they got the flyover. Here comes the flyover, and we got a stage manager, up in the booth. Of course, I wasn't calling the game, but I was up there, getting ready to watch it and do some stuff. And the Jets are coming early. the anthem's going longer than everybody expected, and the Jets are rolling, man. They're honing. And the stage manager said, "No, stop." No. I said, my man, I don't think they can quite hear you up there. Shoom, they roll over. Oh, you guys should have seen him. He was unbelievable up there. But Lynn Swann had a great Super Bowl. Steelers win it.
Oh, yeah.
Part of the pregame show that day was on a boat. Joe Namath was our guest, and he almost missed the boat, and we couldn't wait for him because we were on schedule. We were on the air, so we got to go.
Yeah.
Here comes Joe galloping down and getting on, and
well, Namath, you were there for Namath's famous guarantee, right? That's the.
I was.
You were poolside.
We were
with the rest.
poolside with Joe.
So what? I mean, that is totally nuts too. I mean, you want to talk about how you can't imagine things where a quarterback of a Super Bowl is available for the press, lying in a pool chair, and the press is around the quarterback, and he's talking about a guarantee we're going to win, and that's nuts.
About 7 of us, all writers, drove up to the Fort Lauderdale hotel where they Jets were staying.
Yeah.
And these days, I guarantee you, if I went to the front door of either hotel out of Lake Las Vegas, I ain't getting past that door. Okay?
Exactly.
In those days, we just walked in, went to the bell desk, say, "Hey, are any Jets around? Any, coaches or anything?" He said, "Well, Namath is out back at poolside." Come on. So we go out the door, and there he is, and there are a couple of women there. He's signing autographs for him. He could not have been nicer, so we go over and introduce ourselves, and, joke, and we spend a few minutes. He spent about 45 minutes with us talking about the game and the Jets and how he thought the AFL was every bit as good as the NFL. He could not have been nicer. And it wasn't as though, Rich, I think a lot of people think he was bragging, "We're going to win that game." And it was just kind of matter of fact. I guarantee it.
Did he just say it? Was there a question that was directed?
Yeah, because he had first said it the night before at a golf club. They had a banquet for some of the players and some of the people around Miami Beach, and that's where he had actually first said it. So we did ask him about it, and he said, "Hey, I said it. I mean it. We're going to win this game." And
there it is.
The fella. I'm on the far left.
That's you, yeah.
Yeah, Ray's Sons in a brown sweater from the Sun-Times. The fellow with the newspaper over his head, that's Cy Burek. He's from Dayton, okay? and the fellow right next to him, he was from Cleveland. He was a Cleveland writer. And the one behind Ray's Sons and me over, that's Jerry Green.
Jerry
from
Green,
Detroit, very famous.
Yeah, Detroit News, sure.
For a long, long time.
Yeah.
And those folks behind him. That's Ed Ingles with the tape recorder standing in the background. He worked out of New York City. Okay, so he had the tape recorder there. But those other folks, they're just coming up, chatting with Joe, getting autographs. Come on, can you imagine Patrick Mahomes at full side here in Vegas? I don't think so. Not gonna happen, It was
Brent,
a different time, different world. I loved it, but I also love what's happened to the game. I mean, we saw then, because of television, it was going to replace baseball. It's a better television game. Okay? I'm not saying it's a better sport or anything like that, but it's a much better television game. Okay, and that attracts millions. I mean, the ratings, and then Taylor Swift. Okay, the Swifties are coming on board. Now, there's some people who get a little upset about that, but that's it. And to me, it's a good controversy. It's a good controversy to have. It helped drive the ratings. She seems lovely, and I think she's handled it really well. I'm kind of missing the Detroit Lions because of my buddy Emimen. Okay. Mather. Now, everybody who's seen that interview, Herb Street's on one side, Eminem's on the other side. We're at Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
And they've all. Not a person who's seen that doesn't come up to me and say, "Man, was he high?" I said, "No, he wasn't." I said, "He didn't understand the monitors up there that were aligned, and he was looking at himself." and he couldn't quite understand how the system worked up in the press box where he announced the games. And just what you say, he was kind of looking around, mouth was open, he was locked, his eyes were wide. But he actually, I enjoyed talking to him before we went on and did the thing. He knows a little bit about football. I mean, he understands the game.
Oh, he was psyched about his Lions. It was almost Eminem and Taylor Swift in the
Wouldn't
same
that have been
Super Bowl.
something?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
My goodness.
I would have felt bad for Usher. I mean, he's got to really put on a performance if Eminem and and Taylor Swift. I equate it to just like, when you're in a hospital, better analogies on a plane, there's usually only 2 pilots. There's nobody else that can fly the plane, right?
Exactly.
Here, you have all these recording artists like, I could do this halftime if you need me. I could step in. So let's talk about the here and now. Let's talk about Super Bowl 58. You think Super Bowl 58 will come down to what, Brent? What do you think?
It's going to come down to whether or not the 49er defense plays better than it has so far in the playoffs. They have to be able to, the 4-down linemen have to be able to get some sort of pressure. They have to make Mahomes uncomfortable, not necessarily sack him, but just make him a little bit uncomfortable if they can, because the linebackers can't help them. The linebackers have to be aware of Travis Kelce, okay? And Warner, for me, it's going to be very interesting to watch that first 5 yards when Warner gets a shot at him and can slow him up a little bit. I've watched the Raiders try for years, and we have never slowed Travis Kelce down, okay? In fact, I'm hoping when I saw Jim Nantz, I told him, I said, get the stats. The Chiefs have never lost to this building, and go get the stats on Mahomes and Kelce. I said they've had great games here at Allegiant Stadium. So I think the Niners' defense has been disappointing to them. Brock Purdy, I think he'll be fine. Yeah, sure, he's up against a secondary that's really good.
Yes,
and they may intercept him once, but he's a pretty calm little dude. I'm very impressed. I don't know him. I didn't cover Iowa State at the time, and so I really don't know him personally. But he seems like he's calm. Now, when he gets a clean pocket, and they have the better weapons, as you know, downfield. I mean, the 49ers have a big advantage with the downfield weapons, and they get a lot of yards after catch because what Shanahan does is he puts them in motion, and they're full flight when they hit open space. And if Purdy hits them right like he should, there's yards after a catch for the Niners. Should be a great game, but if the Niners cannot make it uncomfortable at times for Mahomes, they are in for a long afternoon.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
So when it all comes down to it, who are you taking?
Well,
Super Bowl 58.
I'll tell you my betting story.
Please.
Here in Vegas, at around November, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You can bet exactas like you do at racetracks, and you can pick, and you can box it both ways. Okay. I picked the 49ers and the Chiefs on December 9th. Ooh. So I told my lovely wife, Arlene, we're going for dinner. I'm taking you out no matter who wins. Okay? Now, the one thing that I haven't been around much, Rich, in person, is to bet in-game, okay? And there's a huge amount of growth. And I'm going to the game, and I'm going to be interested to see, because every time out, and at halftime too, but every time they put a different over-under number on the game, and that I'm going to be a little bit interested in that. The props, I don't get too involved. I'm amused by them. A lot of people love them.
Yes.
The over-under for the yards, touchdowns, things like that. I don't make a lot of betting on that. If you really asked me, you've got to pick one team to win the game. I suppose I'm biased because I see them more often. I would say the Chiefs. I think Spagnuolo has done a fantastic job.
He sure has.
As a defensive coordinator over there. And I'm a little bit surprised, actually, that he didn't get some interviews for the.
I know. We were just talking about that, too. I don't know if his time with St. Louis was something that just he just can't escape for some reason, even though obviously it was a terrible team and a terrible situation that he was in. he's in his mid-60s, and you're seeing all the hot coordinators. I mean, Belichick 71 and Pete Carroll 72, and if you combine the ages of the coaches that are replacing them, it's 73. So that's seeming the name of the game. I don't know why he doesn't get it, but it's really to the Chiefs' benefit. That's for sure that he's there.
What he devised against Lamar Jackson, I didn't think anybody could do that. Okay, but the one thing listen, Lamar. If you said, Brent, give me your 3 most exciting players, Lamar Jackson's on the list.
Sure.
Okay, to watch, fun to watch. But the one thing I have wondered about him, if you put him behind and you make him throw the ball downfield in the fourth quarter to play catch-up, do you have an advantage? And clearly, the Chiefs had an advantage. When he threw against triple-team defense, and they had a great shot of him leaving, he took his helmet off and slammed it down because he knew he'd made a critical error. He didn't see the extra safety coming over to help out on the play. But what Spags did, basically, against that team, he took the run game immediately. And maybe the Ravens hurt themselves. They could have tried to run a little bit more, but they didn't. But there was nothing there, and that was Spags. The thing to watch with the Chiefs' defense up front this Sunday will be the right side of the 49ers offensive line. Some scouts have told me, Brent, they're very good at run blocking, but they're not very good at pass blocking. So what he will do, Spags will move Jones around, but eventually he will come over on that right side against the right side of the San Francisco line. And Jones, I tell you, Jones is one of the best. He's a Hall of Famer in my mind. He's unbelievable.
I think you're on it right there, no doubt. And the way that he threw Deion Dawkins into Josh Allen's space, saved the touchdown, and then eventually brought on a field goal that went wide right. I mean, if you could just see his play just kind of cascade into one unfortunate development for the Bills after the other. I'm with you, and it's just seeming like it's a dynasty. It seems like we're seeing it born, but the Niners are incredibly talented.
Oh yeah, no.
And this is a tight one. Do you think it's tight, or I know that's your you want to know.
47.5, Brent. What do you think?
47.5.
Oh, the over. Oh yeah. I'd go over.
Okay.
Now I'm like the average Joe. I like overs.
Of course.
So what I will do, in fact, I probably told him a fib. I probably will make another bet, and it will be this one. The 2-team 6-point teaser.
Yeah.
I'll take the Chiefs up to 8.5, and I'll bring that number down to 41.5, and I'll go over that number. I'm glad you asked me that. You know?
Brent, you're the best, and I'm going to tail that, obviously.
I know, and then
and then I'll take my lady out for dinner.
There you go. That's it. Dinner's for everybody.
Hey.
Rich, how does it feel to have no idea what they're talking about?
No, I know exactly what they're talking about. I just act like I don't because, again, I work for the man who's a couple of commissioners removed from the guy who asked him not to talk about plus and minus back in the day. I still have to take my wife out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, you're awesome, man. It means so much to me that I can reach out to you and say, hey, I've got a show in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Would you mind appearing on it?
Oh,
you say yes.
Love to come down.
It really does mean so much. Yes.
When are you going to go on vacation and your wife is going to be around and do the show? Okay.
The combine. The combine.
Combine.
Yeah.
Make sure. She never fails to call.
I know.
Okay.
You are booked for late February, later this month.
Is it later this month?
Later this month.
The combine. Is it still Indy? They have it.
It is that.
Okay.
It is that. Yep.
All right.
So be on the lookout, as they say. You're the best, Brent.
Rich Eisen, you're the best.
Oh, my God.
You guys do a great job.
Thank
By the
you.
way,
Thank
I
you.
want to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Because 6:30 in the morning, you're over in Europe.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your broadcast.
Wow.
You did a good job. No,
Thank you.
Are they going to send you to Brazil, or are they going?
I don't know that yet. I don't know. I will.
+3.
I want these guys.
+3.
Okay, let's go.
You said it, Brent.
Yeah, Brent.
Come on, let's go.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I got a valid passport.
It's not plus or minus.
We're good.
I don't want to hear that.
Me in contact Brazil.
We're taking the points like the Chiefs. +3.
Get out of here.
That's awesome.
You guys. But
Anyway,
thank you. That means so much to me to say that. Thanks.
You got
I
it.
appreciate that. That is the great Brent Musburger here on the Rich Eisen Show Big Game Bonus Special that rolls on with Sam Hartman and Puka Nakua. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.